Forget the maps. Forget the history books. This is not a place, it is a trap. The Warsaw Ghetto, 1941. 1 square mile of the city, 400,000 human souls are forced inside. Poles, Jews, artists, doctors, children. They are sealed off from the world by a 10-foot brick wall, topped with glass and barbed wire. The guards have one order: shoot on sight. Inside, it is hell. It's not a city. It's a prison designed for death. 10 people, 15 people, to a single cold room. The daily food ration, 180 calories, a single stale slice of bread. That's it. Disease, typhus, dysentery, rips through the streets like wildfire. People starve to death on the sidewalks. They freeze to death. The bodies are collected in wooden carts like garbage. And the children are disappearing first. They are the weakest. They are shadows, begging, and then they are gone. And then, in 1942, somehow, it gets worse. The trains arrive. Destination, Treblinka, an extermination camp. The Great Deportation begins. 5,000 people a day, 6,000, 10,000. The ghetto is being liquidated. It has become a waiting room for the gas chambers, the Umschlagplatz, the collection point. The sound of screaming is constant. This is a problem that cannot be solved. This is a machine you cannot fight. It is hopeless. It is the end of the world. Unless you are Irena Sendler. She's a Polish social worker, a nurse, in her early 30s. She is tiny, barely 5 feet tall, but she is furious. She has one thing no one else has: a pass. The Germans, the master race, are terrified of the typhus they created. They are cowards. So Irena, a Christian, has an official permit from the Epidemic Control Department to enter the ghetto, to bring disinfectants and medicine. She walks in, past the guards who shrink away from her, and she sees the truth. She sees the bodies. She hears the screams. She sees the children, huddling, waiting for the trains. And she makes a decision that is insane. She is going to fight this death machine. She can't stop the trains, but she is going to steal the passengers. She is going to smuggle the children out, all of them. But how? How do you steal a child from a fortress surrounded by machine guns? A child cries. A child screams. A child panics. You can't hide them. The guards will find you, and they will execute you, your family, and the child on the spot. It's impossible. Unless you have a trick, unless you have a toolbox. Irena didn't work alone. That was the first rule. She activated a network, 10, 20, 25 trusted friends. She called them Zagota, the Council to Aid Jews. They were all nobodies. Social workers, janitors, nurses, typists, tram drivers. They were invisible, and that was their superpower, their mission: get the children out. And they became masters of the trick. First, her pass. The typhus permit wasn't just access, it was a weapon. The German guards, these supermen in polished boots, were disgusted by the ghetto. They were terrified of catching the disease. They didn't want to touch Irena. They didn't want to search her medical bag too closely. They wanted her away from them, fast. She knew this. She used it. She would intentionally park her car in dirty areas. She would look contaminated. She would wear the same coat every day, never washing it. She would smell like sickness. The guards would recoil from her. Her disease was her invisibility cloak. But first, she had to convince the parents. This was the real torture. Imagine this. You are a mother. You are a father. You are in hell. But you are with your child. And this stranger, this Christian stranger, knocks on your door. Give me your child. What? Give me your daughter, your son. If they stay here, they go to Treblinka. They will be gassed. If you give them to me, I cannot guarantee they will live. I cannot guarantee they won't be shot at the wall. I cannot guarantee the family I give them to won't betray them. And I promise you, you will never see them again. The agony of that choice. To willingly give away your child to a stranger on a 1 in a million chance that they might live. Some parents refused. Irena understood. They were all gassed together, but some did it. They chose the impossible. They would wrap their child in their last warm blanket. They would kiss them one last time and hand them to Irena. Go, they would whisper. Live. And now Irena had a child, and she had to get past the wall. The first problem: infants, the tiniest, the most vulnerable, the loudest. How do you smuggle a baby? Irena found a plumber in her network, a man named Warsaw, a city worker. He had a pass, he had a cart, and he had a large metal toolbox. They found a mother, hysterical, clinging to her newborn. Irena pleaded, "Give me your child. I promise I will find a home." The mother, heartbroken, agreed. They gave the baby a mild sedative, praying it would last, and they placed it inside the toolbox. Surrounded by cold hammers, greasy wrenches, they put a single air hole in the side. The plumber put the lid down. Warsaw walks to the gate. His heart is pounding so loud he's sure the guard can hear it. The guard stops him. "Open it." Warsaw's hands are shaking. He prays, "God, keep the child silent. Keep the child silent." He opens the lid. Hammers, wrenches, rags. The guard sneers. "Filthy." He kicks the box, and from inside, a whimper. The baby's sedative is wearing off. The guard pauses. His head tilts. What was that? The plumber's heart stops. The guard leans in. The baby is about to scream. Warsaw, a genius of desperation, roars, grabs a heavy wrench, and bangs it, violently, against a metal pipe on his cart. "Damn pipes," he yells. "Always leaking. Filthy garbage." The guard recoils from the noise. He's annoyed. "Shut up. Get out. Just go." He waved him through. Wachwav walked. He did not run. He walked 100 feet. He turned the corner, and then he ran. The baby was free. The toolbox trick had worked. The network got bolder. They needed to move more, faster. They started using trucks. A friendly driver, a sympathetic German even, would drive in with supplies, potatoes, flour, coal. They would unload, and in the ghetto, they would load out. Garbage, piles of filth, rags, rubbish, excrement, and inside those piles, children, 2, 3, 4 at a time, drugged, hidden in potato sacks, thrown onto the back of the truck like trash. This was the most dangerous part, the nightmare part. The guards were suspicious. They had orders to stop smuggling of food, they thought. They would take their bayonets and plunge them deep into the sacks of garbage, just randomly, stab, 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 hoping to hit contraband or a body. The silence, as that truck drove to the gate, knowing your garbage was a living child, knowing that child was drugged, silent, helpless, and a guard was walking up with a 13-inch blade. The terror was unimaginable. The prayers that the blade would miss by an inch. Every single time. It was a miracle of horror. Irena hated this. It was too risky. The toolbox was too small. The garbage truck was a nightmare. She needed a better way, a safer way. She found it. An ambulance. She had a friend who could drive an ambulance. It was perfect. It had a reason to be there. It had a reason to leave. Typhus patient, out of the way. The guards wanted it out of there, fast. But there was still the sound. A crying child. A scared child. How do you mask the sound? Irena was brilliant. She trained a dog. She got a large German shepherd, and she kept it in the front of the ambulance. And she trained it with sausages, to hate German uniforms. She trained it to bark viciously every time they approached a guard. The ambulance pulls up to the checkpoint. The guard steps forward. "Halt! Papers!" The dog sees the uniform and explodes. The guard jumps back. "Get that beast under control." "I'm trying," Irena's driver would yell. "He hates your uniform." The dog is losing its mind. The guard is furious. He's nervous. He just wants the noise to stop. He doesn't check the papers. He doesn't look in the back. He hits the gate. "Go! Get out! Schnell!" And in the back of the ambulance, hidden under a filthy stretcher, a 5-year-old child is crying their eyes out, and no one can hear it. The dog trick was genius. They used everything. They became ghosts. They used the courthouse. There was an old courthouse that had one door inside the ghetto and one door outside. They bribed a janitor. He would sweep a child into his broom closet, wait, and sweep them out the other side. A child is sick with typhus. The child dies. They fill out a real death certificate. A real coffin is carried out of the ghetto, but the child inside is alive. They are buried in a safe graveyard and dug up an hour later. And when all else failed, when the ghetto was burning, there was the sewer, the old, forgotten city under the city. Irena's team found a man, a sewer worker, who knew the maze. They would drop children, 6, 7, 8 years old, into the filth, into the pitch-black darkness, into the rats, into the cold water, the sound of the war above them, and tell them, "Crawl. Don't look back. Don't stop. Crawl towards the light." They would crawl for hours, for miles, wading through unspeakable filth, to emerge on the other side of the wall, gasping, covered in slime, but free. Irena's network was a machine. 1 by 1, 10 by 10, 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000. The children were out. They were gone. They were hidden. In convents, disguised as nuns. In orphanages, with new names. In Christian farmhouses, hiding in barns. They were safe. But Irena knew a terrible secret. Saving them was only half the battle. These children were Jewish, but to be safe, they had to become Catholic. They were given new names, new identities, new lives. They were taught Catholic prayers. They were forced to forget. You are no longer Avram. You are Adam. You are not Esther. You are Elzbieta. Forget your mother. Forget your father. Forget the language you spoke, or you, and we, will all be killed. The children were saved, but their identities were lost. Their history was being erased. Irena refused to let this happen. She knew one day the war would end, and these children would deserve to know who they really were. They deserved their names, their families, their past. So she started a new list, a secret list. She did it every night, by candlelight, alone, praying no one was listening. She used tissue-thin paper, cigarette paper, anything she could find. She wrote in tiny, cramped handwriting. On one side, the fake Catholic name, Adam. On the other side, the real Jewish name, Avram, and the names of his parents. Esther is now Elzbieta. One life saved, one identity preserved. The list grew. 100 names, 1,000 names, 2,500 names. This list became the most dangerous document in all of Poland. This was evidence. This was treason. If the Gestapo, the Nazi secret police, ever found this list, it would be a death sentence for every single child, every family that was hiding them, and every member of Zagota. She couldn't burn it. She couldn't memorize it. She couldn't keep it on her. Where do you hide the soul of 2,500 children? The risk was unbearable. She had to hide it. So she buried it. She put the 2,500 names, the tissue-thin papers, inside 2 glass jars. And on a dark night, she went to her neighbor's garden, and she buried the jars, underneath an apple tree. The only copy, the only hope, the only proof, buried in the dirt. The year is 1943. The ghetto is gone. The Nazis burned it to the ground after the uprising. Irena's network saved 2,500 children. And then it broke. Someone talked. A new landlady at one of the safe houses, a Nazi sympathizer, a betrayal. October 20th, 1943. Midnight. Gestapo. They don't wait. They smash the door. 6, 7, 8 SS officers, in black leather coats. They storm her apartment. They know her name. They know everything. Irena Sendler. You are under arrest for treason. They tear the apartment apart. They are screaming. Where is the list? Where are the names? Irena. Her blood turns to ice, because she has a list, the newest list, the one she hadn't buried yet. It's in the apartment, and she is not alone. Her friend, her Zagota partner, Jadwiga, is also there. The Gestapo shoves Irena against the wall. One guard starts towards Jadwiga. They lock eyes. Irena and Jadwiga. 1,000 words in 1 second. The list. Jadwiga calmly reaches, grabs the list, and stuffs it into her BRA, just as the guard turns back. He didn't see. Irena, to make sure, screams. She throws a lamp, creating a diversion. What list? I don't know what you're talking about. It works. The guards all turn to her. They hit her, and they drag her, past Jadwiga, out of the apartment, into the darkness. She is taken to Pawiak, the most infamous prison in Warsaw, the Gestapo headquarters. This is not a prison. This is a torture chamber. This is where you go, but you never leave. They interrogate her for 3 months, day after day, night after endless night, the same questions. Who are the other members? Where are the children? Where is the list? Irena does not talk. She lies. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a nurse. I hate the Jews. I helped you. She lies, and she prays. So they break her, not her spirit, her body. They crush her legs in a boot contraption. They break both of her feet. They break her hands. They beat her with rubber hoses until she is unconscious. They dunk her in ice water. They wake her up and start again. And she still does not talk. She never, ever gives up the jar. They give up. She is broken. She is useless to them. The sentence is passed. By order of the Reich, Irena Sendler is sentenced to death by firing squad. It's over. She failed. The secret of 2,500 children will die with her. She is on the truck, being taken to her execution. Her legs are shattered. She cannot walk. She is finished. But Zagota, her network, is still working. They never stopped. They collected everything. Money, gold, jewels. They bribed a guard. A massive, life-risking bribe. The guard is terrified. He knows if he's caught, he will be executed. The truck stops, in a dark forest. The guard unlocks her chains. He looks at her, this broken, tiny woman, and he shoves her out into the snow. Go! Run! Disappear! If they find out, I am dead. Go! She can't run. She crawls. She drags her broken body into the trees and vanishes. The next day, her name is all over Warsaw, on official Nazi posters. Irena Sendler, traitor, executed today. The Gestapo just shot an empty coat. She is now a ghost. She cannot be Irena. So she gets a new name, a new identity, just like the children she saved. And she hides for 2 more years until the war is over. The war is over. Warsaw is a graveyard of rubble. 600,000 people are dead. Irena survived. Her legs, her feet, never healed properly. They were shattered. She would walk with a limp and crutches for the rest of her life. It was her medal. It was her price. She goes back to the rubble of the garden, to the charred, blackened apple tree. She digs. Her heart is pounding. What if it's broken? What if it leaked? What if it's gone? She hits glass. She pulls the jars out of the earth. The list is safe. Avram is Adam. Esther is Elzbieta. 2,500 names. This is where the story usually ends, but it doesn't. That was not the end. That was the beginning. She spent the rest of her life, the next 40 years, trying to find those children, trying to reunite them with the shattered fragments of their families. The tragedy was that 90% had no one left. Their parents, their aunts, their uncles were all ash. Irena was the only mother they had. She was the only person left alive who knew their real name. She gave them their past. She gave them back their identities. Years later, decades later, the world finally learned her name. Her story came out. She was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And when they asked her, journalists, presidents, prime ministers, "Irena, why? Why you? Why take this risk?" She was angry. She hated being called a hero. She hated the praise. She said, "A hero is someone who does extraordinary things. I did not do anything extraordinary. I just did what was normal. I was taught that if you can help one person, you must." She said, "My father taught me, when you see a man drowning, you must jump in to save him, even if you cannot swim." She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't a general. She was a nurse, a tiny, stubborn woman who looked at a genocide, looked at pure industrial evil, and fought back. Not with a gun, not with an army, but with a toolbox, with a garbage sack, with a dog, and with a jar that saved an entire generation.